Welcome back, YouTubers. Back to Viking Camp. Got some new additions to the camp. I split the tent open so that I have a workstation. It's really nice when it rains out. You can sit in the rain underneath this tarp and work, watch the fire. It's absolutely awesome. Still working on getting the right rope system. Every time I tension these down, they seem to be loosening themselves up, so I'm working on that. Yeah, I've got my trees planted here. I've got a maple I saved from the deforestation. I dug it up and I replanted it here. It's growing pretty well. It's going to be a nice tree next year. Got blossoms coming out. It's going to grow up nice next year. It's going to be about this tall. Got an oak, a couple of ash trees. They're doing quite well, actually. Ash is actually good bow making material. It's one of the reasons that I saved these trees. I have a mouse digging around in the roots. That's not cool. Mouse, please leave my tree alone. Another ash tree. Another one over there. It's my Viking kitchen. I don't know if I've showed that up yet, but I'm going to show it now. We're going to be using this here soon, now that the tent is in that position. The wind blew away my canopy on top. I had a tarp over the top, but I'm going to be replacing that with a much better, more historically correct one, and more cloth canvas. There's my throne. It's my Viking throne. My special chair. Yeah, sit here and eat together. Of course, the tent we all know here. The firewood pile keeps growing. That's very good. And unfortunately, two of my chairs. Last time I came to set up my chairs, two of my chairs refused to fit together, and I used a little bit too much force, and that's all that's left. I already burned the rest, but two of my chairs here decided to break, so I only have three left, but that's a quick fix if I decide to make a couple more of those. Not very Viking chairs, but they are considered, I guess, Viking chairs by the general purpose. These are actually quite different part of history, but it's a simple design. Who's to say that they didn't have chairs like this? You know, we can't go back over 1,000 years and take a look. So those are my Viking chairs. I'm just going to say those are my Viking chairs. Yeah, so today we're going to be out looking for, along the edge here in the surrounding forest, we're going to be looking for a bow stave, or a headpiece style, Haitabu, we call it in German, style of Viking bow, which I'm going to try to build. It's going to be my first bow, so that's why I'm going to try to use hazel. The yew tree, or the Eibe, as they call it in Europe, is almost extinct. That's why it's extremely hard to find anywhere, except you have your here or there at the local graveyards, or the in the front gardens. Sometimes they still grow as a decoration, but you don't find them out in the forest anymore. And if you do, you just can't go and saw one down. They're under protection, and then you have to make sure you have a good reason and you have permission from the owner before you just go saw down that tree. So, actually going to be getting some new tree here. I put an ad in the newspaper, and someone actually answered it. They're going to be cutting down 12 trees. I'm going to go and take the best section, and cut the sections out myself, 2 meters long, so that I can make bow staves. And that would be quite interesting. I'm going to try to make a video out of that. Also coming up, the video is going to make a charred cloth. We're going to try to use the traditional method of cotton, which will work 100%, and then we're going to try to do it with linen. An experiment to see, did Vikings have charred linen cloth, which is a big debate, and I believe yes they did. So we're going to try it out, and we're going to see if it works. Ultimately making fire the traditional method with flint and steel, And if I can figure out where that area is that I was talking to with someone yesterday, there's an area not far from here. They used to mine rock, all kinds of limestone, and there's a riverbed, and there's supposedly supposed to be lots of flint. So you can still go find flint, real flint. So we're gonna go get some of that, and hopefully on our mission today we can find some mushrooms to throw them on the grill. Yes, that's gonna be our adventure today. So join me, and let's go see what we can find.
This is pretty cool. Look at this. Check these mushrooms out. It's growing out of this tree right here. Mushrooms grow in the forest. I think that's pretty cool. Right next to my bow stand. It's pretty neat. Maybe I should try to shoot one with a bow and arrow. That'd probably be not a good idea. There's some more mushrooms over here. Look at this. Wow, look at that. Now I don't know what that is, so I'm not going to eat it. Now YouTubers, this is pretty neat. This is a parasol mushroom. Tastes pretty good. Now, quick word of advice. If you are not an expert or have some experience and know what you're doing, do not just go out and pick mushrooms and eat them. That will not be a good idea. Just like to warn you. Don't tell it. Not that it says, hey, I watched this video on YouTube and this guy was eating mushrooms. This is a parasol mushroom. 100% sure. This one's coming with us. Here we have our first hazel. Unfortunately, I don't think that this one is going to work. It's too thick at the bottom and it's got these weird branches. I'm going to try to find a nice, perfectly straight one about this thickness right here. It fits right around my hand. It's about 5 centimeters to 6 centimeters based on all the archaeological finds that the Haitabu bow was from a young tree, so we're going to try to make it as close as possible from a hazel. This one would be nice if it would be just a tad thicker, so we're going to keep looking. Mushrooms! Yum, 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 yum. What's that? Mushrooms! Yum, 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 yum. There's plenty of those everywhere. Now I happened to stumble across this. Literally, I stumbled across it. Almost flew on my face, and then I took a look to see what it was. And this is actually an old piece of pine that's decayed away and left just pieces where the branches connect, and that is an excellent piece of fat wood right there. So I'm going to go ahead and saw this off. Well, we are. I'm at the top now, and it looks like someone's done half the work for me already. I think these are the people that chopped down the trees for the electric lines. They've cut down all this hazel, and I'm going to browse through and see if I can't find a nice piece that's already been cut down. So there's a couple of pieces peeking out. Let me see if we can find something. you say? Ah. So, all right, YouTube, on we go. Everywhere they've cut down hazel. On this path of destruction, success is imminent. It's like an adventure mission. Find the hazel staff and return with your reward. Ooh. If we're not careful, we might see some piggies. I keep hearing noises. Oink, 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 oink. And then go over there. Oink, 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 oink. Keep hearing noise. Maybe I should make some noise too. Maybe they'll go away. Ooh, what do we have here? Let's see. Well, let us take a look. There's a nice piece. Well, let me take a look. Let me turn the camera off and dig through these branches to see if there's anything neat here. And then if not, then I'll look over there, and up there, and over there, and up there, and over there, and you know how that story goes. So I'll see you soon, YouTube. Let's see what we have here. Cut it approximately. Cut it here. I'm going to cut it up there where it's leaning on the branch. I'm going to call it a day. And we'll take it back and peel it and see what we can get out of this. If we've done any good research here, or we've just brought home another hazel staff that we're going to sit by the fire and make something else out of. So, see you in a bit. Here we are. It's about 2 meters and a little bit, and it's fairly straight. I can live with that slight bend, since nothing in nature grows in straight lines. There's the axe. The only thing I'm worried about is this small knot, but if we're lucky, we can make that the back of the bow and maybe be able to shave that off. If it's not really, we'll see after we get the bark off how it looks underneath. This is really a tedious process. And it's a good beginning wood. Hazel grows everywhere, it's cheap. It's easy to find. And yeah, so we're going to give this a try. This seems to be a good one. I feel like this is going to work. So let's carry this back to the camp and start peeling the bark off. Go see what Prince is up to. Couldn't carry him along, it would have been too much. All the tools, backpack. Animals up here, he would constantly want to go off and get in trouble. So I just saw 2 deer rush out underneath of the bush over there. That would have been a terrible moment. The dog trying to chase after that. Okay, well, here we go back to the camp now. Hello, YouTube. We're back at the camp now. I'm taking a quick break. This is our hazel stave, hopefully. And we're going to try to remove the bark before we take it home. I'm trying not to cut into the wood. So YouTube, about 3 hours later, sitting here using the back of the axe to carefully sand down this bow shaft. It turned out to be very nice, actually. I'm surprised of how smooth I got to get it. We're just using the corner of my axe, of the handle, instead of the blade. The blade has been kind of sharp on going around these knots. Very important not to cut them off, just to shave around them. We're gonna see when we get back. See which end of the bow is going to be the front, the back, or the belly of the bow, but it looks like it has its own shape already. And if this is the back, I'm going to get to take down some more of this side, just a little bit with the sandpaper. Alright, let's go take this home. It's starting to rain. So, we're back at the workshop, and I am going to read in this book. This book here has some really neat depictions in the back of it. This is all about arrows and arrow nocks. This is the Haitabu style bow that I'm going to be making. Oh, fuck this. So, here we are back at the house. Prince and I have had quite an adventure today. And I'm going to be using this book as an example. Bows and Arrows of the Viking Age by Dan, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Hoy. And in this book it shows an example that Haitabu, or Haitabu, the bow that was found there, and the depiction of how it was shaped and the dimensions of it. And I'm going to use that as a guideline when I make my first experimental bow out of one of these. Now this is the stave, oops, that was the light. This is the stave that presumably will not function correctly. Probably won't work, but is a good practice because it has too many of these deep holes from where the branches were. My thought was, though, however, I could possibly save this piece by using this as the back. And maybe I'll be able to use a draw knife to take those off, leaving the front untouched. Literally, but this already has a natural shape to it, this direction. So I'm going to be really careful when I try to do that. I might be able to get away with it, and I might not, because this has, pun intended, knots. This has 3 knots within a short area, and I'm not too happy about that. If I were to cut it right here, it would work just fine, but I do not know if this is going to be the correct height, so I always could just cut it and give it a try as is. So that would be quite an interesting experiment here I'm about to start. This has been drying for about a week and a half now in front of the fireplace, so this is pretty dry. It weighs a lot less than it did when I put it there, and we're going to use this to test and see what we can do. So let's see what happens when I get started with this project. My first try on the shaping horse. Looks pretty good. So what I'm doing now, YouTube, is I'm taking the bow stave that I had before, and I'm doing an experiment. I've taken it down to the dimensions that I got out of my book, and the bow would be a meter 91 centimeters long, so 191. 3.3 centimeters thick and 4 centimeters wide, and I have exactly that. I still have a little bit extra on the length, which I'm going to cut about 1 centimeter on each end after I finish drying the bow. It has a small crack, that's why it's good. I'm going to leave it until I get done. Right now I was basically shaping the back of the bow, and I had to take a break and repair my saw, my shaving horse. The foot pedal broke, so now I have a new foot pedal. I'm going to shape it up a little bit better tomorrow, but for right now this is good. I'm using the shaving tool to very carefully remove material off the back of the bow, or off the belly of the bow, whichever one, that would be correct. And I'm rounding now, after I made the D profile, I'm now rounding the corners so that it smooths out the whole grip. And once I've done this to the complete bow, I'm going to sand it, and then I'm going to start to take a look at how to tiller this thing and put the nocks, for the bowstring, not called nocks, the attachment grooves for the bowstring. And removing material really slowly here with the scraper. Like I said, this is going to be a neat experiment. This is the piece of material where I was very skeptical that it was going to work. It had too many branches, but we're going to try it anyway. We're going to do an experiment. I'm going to wear full body armor when I try to fire this the first time, so nothing can happen. Really tell there are some spots on this wood that dry faster that are drier than the rest of it, and they're harder to work than the rest of the bow. Really doesn't scrape off well. Deep scratches come out. The rest I'm going to do with sandpaper. Very surprised that for a first time with no clue, this looks actually pretty good. And I'm liking my sawhorse, it's working out for me. Except that small problem with the foot pedal earlier. But I made me a new one real quick. There's Prince out there doing something, I hear him. Prince! Wo bist du? There he is. Hello, Prince. What have you been up to? You have sawdust all over your face. What are you doing? Are you being a bad dog? Hmm? Prince is inspecting the sawdust. Luckily, this is non-toxic. Non-toxic. Yes, for you. What? Would you like me to stop now? It's not that late yet. We can still do a little bit. I'm almost done. I'm almost finished. Almost finished. Almost. Well, you gonna help me? You gonna lick the spots that I need to do? Right there? Right there, some? Okay, move back. Move back. Back up. Back up. Ew. Dog slobber everywhere. Oh, look at that. Got his toys. Yeah. We gotta get this right. This has to be right. Alright, YouTube. I sanded it down and put it in the vise fixture here so that it can straighten out. And we're going to leave this in here for a couple days and then we'll come back and see what happens. So, that's it, YouTube, for today. You ready to go upstairs, Prince? Call it Feierabend? Yes? Okay, well, let's go. Let's go. Alright. Alright, YouTube. See you later.